Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. So this is a time, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, when you would know that we are talking about a full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. And that is why the title of tonight's show is The Last Chapter. And that is because there are very severe, challenging aspects among 3 of the 4 fixed signs. In fact, there are 7 planets squaring and opposing each other among the 4 fixed signs. And so one of them is Taurus. And so we're having a full moon lunar eclipse, and the moon rules women, so we're talking about one woman going and one woman coming. And that full moon lunar eclipse would be about a wealthy woman. And that's because Taurus is a fixed financial sign and rules wealthy people. And those 2 planets are being opposed by the Sun and Mars and Mercury, all in Scorpio. So that's 5 planets in just the 2 fixed financial signs, harshly opposing each other. But then there are 2 other planets, Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, that are squaring the full moon and Uranus in Taurus, and they're also squaring the 3 planets in Scorpio. So these 7 planets in a harsh T-cross among fixed signs simply means that an awful lot of people are not seeing eye to eye about financial matters right now. Or it can be just about the high cost of living. And so it can be a time under these pressures that are building up that a wealthy woman could be deciding that, well, she's done enough. She may want to sort of trade in an old role of hers for something new in the future. That's why she's on the last chapter of her old role right now. And she would like to do something that offers a more gentle lifestyle or not so much pressure. And in order to do that, she's got to be on the last chapter of something she's been doing for a while, either in the public eye or in a leadership position. And an example of what I'm talking about is Angela Merkel. She is doing okay financially, and she has just stepped down. She has just retired. So she is on the last chapter as she winds up her role, her powerful role, leading Germany for years, and is going to begin a newer, gentler role that can be a satisfying reward for all of her years of service. And so, following that example, there can be other people in the world, particularly women, since it's a lunar eclipse, that are deciding that, gee, they've done their share. Maybe it's time to seek a smaller role or a more gentle lifestyle and sort of let the next generation take over, or let people go in a different direction. And I think that's what the last chapter means, is that some people, this could be men as well, but generally they're pretty wealthy. I mean, this is in Taurus, and Taurus is a fixed financial sign, and it rules how you make your money and what you spend it on. So it rules all your investments. And Taurus rules of fine food and wine, and it rules expensive, high-priced real estate and high-priced art, because the ruler of Taurus is Venus. And Taurus actually rules the neck, and it rules the vocal cords. And Taurus has a very good singing voice. Even if all they're doing is singing at home in the shower, it sounds wonderful. So Taurus is very talented, quite willing to work very hard, but they like to be comfortable. They like to have nice things that hold up, and they work hard to pay for them. Why shouldn't they have them? And they know a lot about money, since that's a money sign. But this is a time when everybody is going to have problems with financial matters. And a lot of it could be due to things that are beyond your control. And that is because the financial situation anywhere in the world is shaky right now. And that is because some people can be anticipating higher taxes. Other people can be anticipating high bills that have to be paid. And so a lot of people are sort of wondering, where's the money going to be coming from? And at the same time, even if you have a job, your paycheck isn't buying what it used to buy because inflation is so high. So there can be some pretty good reasons why people can be deciding, you know, I think this is enough, and I'll go do something else. And the important thing to remember is that whoever is on their last chapter of a role they've had for a while, either in the public eye or in a leadership position, or just in their career choice, it's their choice. Nobody's making them do it. But it's their choice to step down. And it's in order to give them more peace and more happiness. And there should be a reward for doing your duty. And maybe the only way they can get rewarded is to stop doing their duty and rest a little bit. Another example would be Queen Elizabeth. She is revered and respected all over the world. But, and this next year will be her 70th year on the throne. And so it simply means she has certainly been doing her duty. And she may be thinking now that, you know, things are sort of shaky in the world, and maybe she could fulfill her duty better, not by doing everything herself, but by choosing a gentler path where she is able to advise others who can be coming up and training to do their duty instead. Maybe that it's time to do that. So there can be even reasons, health reasons, why people are on their last chapter. Certainly at 95, Queen Elizabeth ought to try to get a little more rest. But she's a Taurus. She's not going to give up. Oddly enough, the thing about this lunar eclipse in Taurus is that there is another one next year in the same month, November. But the difference between the two Taurus lunar eclipses is that this year's is a partial eclipse. So it's the start of the last chapter. And that last chapter, in order to, if somebody has been pretty active in a public life, it would take a little while to wind that down or to get their money straight. And so it might not be until next November, when there is a total total lunar eclipse in Taurus, that the whole last chapter is complete. So that could happen. So we have that to look forward to. That there are choices now that people are making that are seeking some sort of peace or some sort of relief, and a gentle, or even just a gentle reward for years of service. Well, what's wrong with that? I think people should have that. And so they can do it in a variety of ways. One of the ways is just to retire. And you know, if you've been working at your company for 30 years and you know, you've got your pension all lined up and everything, why shouldn't you retire? So you'd be on the last chapter of your work life, but once you retire, you're certainly capable of starting something new if you want to. It's just that it's going to be all your choice, and it'll be on your terms, and it'll be it'll be affordable according to your budget. Sort of like going into business for yourself after you finally retire from 30 years of working for somebody else. That's possible, but it will be your choice. And so whoever is choosing this last chapter of a life that they want to leave, they have a good reason for it. It might be a personal reason. But it's a pretty good reason, or they wouldn't be doing it. And that needs to be respected. But at the same time, we have to understand it's being done under very harsh conditions in the world. And that could be one of the reasons why they're going, is because there's 5 planets in the 2 fixed financial signs at war with each other, and then the planets in Aquarius are also in conflict with the planets in the financial signs. So it isn't going to be easy to, I would think that there has to be a transitional time. So that's what I'm calling the last chapter. It's a traditional time when you're no longer doing what you used to do, but you don't quite have everything set up for a new beginning either. So, you know, it's like a book. So you're on the last chapter of this book that has been your life up until now. And, you know, when the last page is read and the book is closed, then you're going to be ready for a new chapter in a new life. And it should work out rather well. There are a lot of new beginnings that are going to just sprout up next summer when Jupiter temporarily goes into Aries, because Aries rules new beginnings. So we have that to look forward to. So anyway, this is an excellent time to wind something down. And you could have different reasons for doing it. And it might not be you, but you might know somebody who is now on their last chapter, who has announced their retirement. And that is because people who have worked in the public eye for a long time, like Angela Merkel or Queen Elizabeth, they have had to face doing their duty, you know, all the time. And they also had to face being involved in financial dealings that they may have had to negotiate at times that could have been very stressful. And they may have had to also face intense competition or rivalry. I mean, wouldn't that wear you out? And so, why shouldn't they be on their last chapter? Why shouldn't they move on? So retiring from an old role, it does involve winding things up, and it takes a while to do that. At the same time, there can be some people around that are not exactly retiring so much as retreating. And the reason they're retreating is because some people, particularly ones that sort of are always going for the money or the prestige, that could have been their goal in life, and they may have reached it, only to find out that when you're in a high position, a lot of things are expected from you. And almost everybody expects you to be qualified for that high position. And so, you know, wanting to be at the top of the heap, you know, okay, if you're ambitious and you know how to get there and you get there, great. But actually being worthy of it and being qualified for it and being well trained for it, that's a different story. And there can be some people around that realize even though they're there, they can't do the job, or they don't want to do the job. All they wanted was the benefits. They didn't really want the work. And it goes hand in hand. If you're doing your duty for the public good, it is a lot of hard work. But you have a reason to do it. You know, Queen Elizabeth or Angela Merkel, it was for their country. Well, there are still plenty of women around in the world now who are in leadership positions or who are pretty high up in government agencies. And let's hope that most of them are qualified, because if they're not, we're in trouble. But that is why once a person realizes, oh gee, I wanted all of this, but oh, I can't do it, and I'm not qualified to do it. I don't have the training. Once that happens, they could be retreating from that in their last chapter and deciding they just want to go for something that makes them happy, or at least happier. Something more satisfying, something less demanding, less demanding. So some people can take the pressure and some people can't. And unfortunately, the only way you find out whether you can or not is to be under pressure. And so there have been a few tests of that. We have seen some people that they can either make it or they can't. But just remember, nobody's forcing these people. They're on their last chapter because they want to be on their last chapter. And so we have to respect their choices, but it's for personal reasons that they're stepping down or winding down something. And it's in a very shaky financial time, at least until the middle of December. So nobody quite knows what the outcome is going to be of these 7 planets that are in a harsh T-cross. But we know it's very challenging. And people who gamble or who have taken a gamble are going to lose. And if there was going to be a crash in the stock market or somewhere else in the world, it could happen in November or the first half of December, because all 3 malefic planets are in very harsh aspect to each other. And none of them are at home in the sign they rule, except Mars in Scorpio. And when a planet is at home in the sign it rules, it generally acts for the good, doesn't get you in trouble. It advances you. And there's only 2 planets at home in the signs they rule, Mars in Scorpio, and it is trining Neptune in Pisces. So Scorpios and Pisces and Cancer, because they all trine the sign of Cancer, they may not have too much to worry about, and even if they decide they're on a on their last chapter for some reason, they probably have an idea of what they're going to do next, so they can be moving forward. But for other people, they have private or personal reasons why they are on their last chapter here. And we have to respect that and just keep going. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, this is a time when I would say that you probably know somebody who is a wealthy woman who may have confided in you already that they are deciding to sort of scale back or be on the last chapter of a public role or a leadership role that they've had for a long time. So they could be retiring or just stepping down. And I think you know who that is, Aries. So I think it could be somebody in your workplace. And so I don't know who your employer is, but in these times which are somewhat financially chaotic or threatening, people in large corporations or government agencies, what is the first thing they do when times get tough? They cut budgets and they do layoffs. And there may not be too much of that before Christmas, but there could be an awful lot of it after Christmas. And it may be that some people have been around long enough to decide, oops, I think I'm going to get out now. And they do. And I think one of them has already told you about that, Aries. And if you are able to be on your last chapter and sort of you're deciding to move on, that would probably be pretty good timing, Aries, because it would give you time to make a transition from what you've been doing for a while and then get through the holidays and then work on something new at a gentler pace that could be very successful next summer when Jupiter temporarily comes into your sign. And that'll be for the whole summer. So I think that Aries, if you've been taken into somebody else's confidence and you are supporting them, that's good, because once you make a decision to do something like that, they will support you as well. So I think there's sort of a mutual beneficial arrangement that you know about for a change that's coming up for somebody else and for you eventually as well. And remember, it's a personal choice of people, so we have to respect that. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time with that full moon lunar eclipse in your sign on Friday, Taurus, that you could certainly be a person who either is or has already been on their last chapter. Maybe you sort of saw what was coming. Maybe you made some personal decisions yourself already, particularly in this last year. And maybe you've just decided, okay, it's okay with me if I give up a public role or a leadership role. I've been doing that for a while. They can find somebody else. Or that you want to just retreat if you're uncomfortable with something and try something new this summer. You could do that, Taurus. I don't think the problem is with what you decide to do because it's your own personal choice. And I don't think people are going to argue with you about it. If that's what you want to do, fine. The problem is the money, Taurus. And the reason why there's a problem with that is because there are 5 planets in the fixed financial signs all opposing each other. So you may feel that this is a time in your last chapter of an old role that you want to get your hands on as much money as you can before you start something new later on. But it's not going to happen like that. There are 7 planets in fixed signs. And they're all challenging each other, and it includes the 3 malefic planets, Uranus in your sign, Mars in Scorpio, and Saturn in Aquarius. So, Taurus, you need to be very careful with your money. And the reason why is I think you're going to lose a little of it. And it could be in a variety of ways you have not anticipated. Losing money could come from the fact that some of your expenses had been paid for in your job before, and now they're gone. Those freebie benefits are gone, and you have to pay for them yourself. And that could add up. And then it's also that you may want a sort of a bigger piece of the pie. If you've been in partnership with somebody else, you'd want a little bigger piece. Your share, you'd want to be bigger than somebody else's share. And that's certainly not going to happen. And then you could say to yourself, oh, but I have a good reason for wanting that money because it's going to go into a future project. Remember, those planets in Aquarius are squaring your sun, but they're good planets, Saturn and Jupiter. And I don't think it's going to happen that way either. And the reason why is that there's nothing wrong with your ideas, Taurus. And, a Taurus, once they get an idea, they stick with it. But it is the world conditions around your situation. In other words, you have Venus and Pluto in Capricorn trining your sun. You have old friends that are supporting you and will continue to do that at least through March and over the winter. But there are very shaky financial conditions around. Okay, well, you don't have your hands on all the money in the world, do you? And since your sign rules investments, you might be invested in other things in the world, and their values could fluctuate, and that's what you can't control. And so that's what I mean by shaky. Things are shaky right now. And so if you're after more money right now, I would say that you're probably not going to get it. If you have very expensive tastes, which generally a Taurus does have, but they work very hard for their money, they can afford it. But still, the moon is exalted in Taurus, and that simply means that it rules high-priced art, and it rules very expensive real estate, luxury. And that moon is being eclipsed. It's not being conjuncted by anything. It's being opposed and squared and eclipsed. And so, Taurus, you just need to have a little nest egg somewhere that's all your own. And you possibly are not going to make all your dreams come true immediately due to conditions that you're not in control of. I mean, it's not your fault, actually. But I would not make too many financial commitments, at least until next summer. And so you need to take a step back and not spend money until the financial conditions stabilize in a more concrete way, and until you know what your taxes are going to be. So I would say you could be on your last chapter of an old role that you don't want anymore, and it's your choice. You have to be respected for your choice. You have your reasons. But I don't think you better be taking too many expensive steps forward right now. And if you have bills, you should be paying them down. Hold on to what is yours, Taurus, because it would be very hard right now to hold on to it. There's too many other things that are fraying at the edges right now. So you really need to be careful. Don't spend money right now. You can do that a little while later, and that might be better because your plans would be more solid by next summer. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when I would say you can sort of just skate by some big problems that other people are facing right now, Gemini. Now, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't have some financial worries yourself. Maybe you do. We all do when we go to the grocery store. You know, really, we have to sort of change the way we eat because everything is costing so much. And our incomes aren't going up. It's just the prices are going up. So it's just insane. I mean, how I saw a news article on television that was interviewing a lady who owned a food bank, and she said she couldn't operate her food bank because all the food was so expensive. Even the stuff she was just getting for almost nothing. You know, inflation is like a disease. It's a financial disease. It just takes your dollar bills and eats them, gnaws away at them until they're gone. And until they buy nothing. So this is a time, Gemini, when I think in your sort of light little way, and because you're so adaptable and versatile, that you can sort of, you can just go with the flow. You can go with changing conditions, or you can alter your diet a little bit, or you can find ways to sort of pinch pennies. And I think you can get through. You can still concentrate on a future project, and that's because Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius are trining your Gemini sun. And so if you wanted to get something started that would involve an effort for the next couple of years, you could do that right now, Gemini, and sort of at least get some framework set up by Christmas, while Jupiter is still trining your sun. It will leave Aquarius on December 28th. But up till then, it's trining your sun. So Gemini, don't take all the problems of the world on your shoulders right now. Try to sort of laser focus in on what you want to do in your future, and try to take some very positive steps with some good advice from others before Christmas if you can. Just lining up some more help would do you a lot of good. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time, Cancer, that things are really going in your favor. And the reason why they are is because the three planets in Scorpio, the Sun, Mars, and Mercury, are all trining your Sun, and so is Neptune in Pisces. So you have a lot of strength, or a lot of strong people, or a very strong organization behind you. And that's good, because Cancer, if you were one of the people that were deciding, well, I think I'm on my last chapter of this role, and I'm gonna let that go now, and I'm gonna try something new next year. And you know, you could get help with that, Cancer. You could find the money for that. What if you had been doing a regular career for a long time, and market conditions had changed, and you could sort of see a few layoffs coming down the road? You may decide that you'd really rather be doing something else instead. So you decide to sort of wind up one part of your life, and you may have the savings or the financing around somewhere, Scorpio rules financing, to start a new project or start a new lifestyle. And I think you can do it, Cancer. It would have to be something that is good for others, and sort of good for your country, and that would make you happy, Cancer. So I think you have a lot going for you right now. Very strong planets in trine with each other, and also trining your Sun. So there's not really too much of a reason for you not to advance right now, Cancer. You could do it. Yours is not a fixed sign. It's a cardinal sign. And there's only 2 planets in cardinal signs, Venus and Pluto in Capricorn, which are opposing your Sun sign. So, I mean, you can't start off at the top of a corporation right now, because you wouldn't make that. But if you wanted to turn around and start your own company, well, then you're at the top, because you're the only employee. And you might be able to get financing to start something, and that would make you and others happy. It would sort of personally fulfill you. And you'd like that, Cancer. So I hope you give it a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, I think that you are going to have to sort of step back and realize that if you have a reason, a personal reason, and a good one, to be on the last chapter of something right now that you have decided to sort of let go of, or end, or wind down somehow, I would say it's wise of you to do that. You should. And the reason why is the forces, the conflict, the challenges are so great to your Sun sign that it's almost not worth the fight. And that is because the full moon in Taurus, along with Uranus, a malefic planet, are squaring your Sun. The Sun and Mars, another malefic planet, and Mercury in Scorpio are also squaring your Sun. And Saturn, the 3rd malefic planet, and Jupiter in Aquarius are opposing your Sun sign. So as long as you stay true to what is important in your values, then you're in control of that, Leo. But as far as everything else that you're in contact with, you absolutely are not in control of any of it. None. And the reason why is that, let me just say, market forces or social conditions are overwhelmingly challenging to you right now. And so you should step back. You are a person who should be on your last chapter. I mean, it's fine for you to end something that you've been doing for a long time. And you're probably very ready for it, Leo. Leos have a lot of energy. You know, the ruler of your sign is the Sun, the giver of life. And so, you know, Leo rules courage. And so, you know, Leo, you want to go forward on something. Well, there are so many planets stopping you right now, but particularly 5 of them in the financial signs under the lunar eclipse. And then Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius are squaring your sun or opposing your sun. It just means, Leo, no matter which way you turn, you cannot make progress right now. So if you can't make forward progress, what does that mean? That you're in trouble? No, not necessarily. You're not necessarily in trouble, Leo. Excuse me. It is that you may want to assert your ideas. You may have some good ones and want to tell people about them. But either nobody's listening to you, or else they are challenging you so much that you're not getting cooperation and you're not being heard. And there's competition and rivalry going on. And so you really are going to probably end up with higher expenses and a diminished income. Now, I didn't say no income, but higher expenses and a diminished income. And that would be if you were trying to sort of grab money from others in one way or another. You could say, well, I've been doing this for so long, I want my share. And you could be right about how long you've been doing it, but other people could really disagree with you about it being your share. And that's why I wouldn't fight with anybody about money right now, Leo. You would not win. Not only would you not win, you may be creating quite a harmful reputation for fighting about it. And that could hurt you down the line in a new endeavor. So you can't afford that either. You can't afford any kind of criticism of you right now. Not when you're in the building stages of something new. So Leo, you just have to be really quiet right now, at least until the middle of December, when planets will move on. And as far as a wealthy woman who may be on their last chapter, that could be you, or it could be somebody you know, and they too would be having financial difficulties. Now, it might be that none of your financial difficulties are your fault, but you still have to sort of be dealing with other people that you don't really want to deal with. And the more you try to straighten something out, the more ensnarled you get instead. And that's not where you want to be, Leo. So what you've got to do is step back. Is something worth fighting about right now? No. Nothing for you is worth fighting about right now, Leo. Because you wouldn't come out a winner. Leos like to win. So what I'm saying is, how much do you want to lose? Because you would only be on the losing end right now. Clear through the middle of December. That's why I'm saying, step back. You know. You're making your own personal decisions. You don't have to explain them to other people. You don't have to fight. Just watch the timing. You could do okay if you just watch the timing. And for you, the timing is going to be better after the middle of December. It's really going to be good next summer. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, lucky you. Last week there were 3 planets in Earth signs trining your sun, and now there are 4 planets in Earth signs trining your sun. That's good, because that means you're going to have an awful lot of help doing whatever you want to do. And that's because the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus on Friday trines your sun, and so does Uranus in Taurus. And then Venus and Pluto in Capricorn are also trining your sun. That simply means you have friends in high places that would like to do you a favor, Virgo. Why don't you let them? And it can be simply because you have already established a wonderful reputation. Virgos are very modest. They don't really seek the spotlight. Now, they like to be around other people that, you know, have the spotlight on them. But a Virgo themselves sort of could be close to that, but not hog the spotlight. That's not their thing. And so what Virgos have a sterling reputation for is finishing things. Virgos are very dependable. When other people are in a tight situation, or there's a shortage of staff, or there's too much of a job to get done, somewhere there's always a Virgo who's going to stick around after hours and help get the job done and finish it. And they'll be there till it is done. That being dependable and being conscientious, that is something that you do every day, Virgo, and people can see it and they know it. And sometimes your efforts are not, you know, grand and glorious, but oh boy, are they consistent. And that's how you build trust. And so now, Virgo, you're about to reap the benefit of a rather good record you have for steadiness, you know, and for always trying to do your best, and particularly for finishing. So I think that you may be not on your last chapter at all, unless you're choosing it. Instead, there could be some people around that are deciding, oh, the person we can count on is you. And they could be letting you know about that, I would say, if not before Christmas, then right after Christmas. Somebody's got their eye on you, Virgo, for advancement. And whoever that is a pretty smart person. They know what they're looking for, and they know you can deliver. So you just keep doing what you're doing, Virgo. You're doing a great job. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when I would say that if you had your mind just on the future, that's exactly where it belongs. So it might be you, Libra, that actually is either you have already experienced this last chapter of an old role that you have been involved with for a while, that you've already given up, or you're in the process of giving it up, in order to start something new that you really have your mind on. And that looks very promising. And I think that since both Saturn, which will be trining your sun until for the next 2 years, and Jupiter, which is only trining your sun until December 28th, since they are both so favorably aspecting your sun sign, Libra, this is a time when you could get something new off the ground before the first of the year. So it would be even before Christmas or right after Christmas. You could get something new off the ground, which might be why you are selecting to be on the last chapter of something else. It's because, you know, that's sort of run its course, and you already have an idea for something new. And it could pay off. Since Saturn is going to be trining your sun for 2 years, you should give yourself a timeline of 2 years. And you might be saying, oh, I can get that done much sooner. Well, it isn't speed that's important these days. It is being very careful and being very reliable and not taking any risks or gambles. And so generally that means you have to move at a slower pace, Libra. You know, slow as you go. That's okay though. Saturn will be backing you up for 2 years, your sign. So that's okay. You'll make it in 2 years. You'll make it before the end of the 2 years. So I don't think you need to worry too much about anything. The planets in Scorpio right ahead of yours are very strong planets. And you may decide if you are really dedicated to a new effort, and if you're on that last chapter where you're winding up an old role, you may decide to sort of go out and try to find the money to pay for your new idea. And you may just be able to do that. You know, Scorpio rules financing. You might find some financing, or it would be better if you found something like a grant, something you didn't have to pay back, but and that isn't going to get taxed either, and that you can use to grow a good idea. I think you could do that, Libra. You should think about that a little bit and look around. There could be some money a little closer to home than you think. So why not see if it's available? Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. This is a time when you can be facing the pressure of financial circumstances that are not all in your control. And in a funny kind of way, I don't think that you're as worried about that as other people are, because the planets in your sign, the Sun, Mars, and Mercury, are really good planets, and they're backed up by a trine from Neptune in Pisces. But that full moon lunar eclipse on Friday, along with Uranus in Taurus, both of them are opposing your sun sign, Scorpio. And Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius are squaring your sun sign. And the moon is exalted in Taurus. So there probably is a wealthy woman around somewhere, Scorpio, that even if you don't know them personally, you would know of them. So once again, the examples of Angela Merkel or Queen Elizabeth are people that are wealthy women, but they've also been devoted and done their duty and handled economic controversies and dealt with competition and rivalry and, you know, pressure. And they may be on their last chapters. And so you may know some people like that, Scorpio, that have been under pressure for a while. And now by their own choice, nobody else's, but their own choice, they are choosing to sort of wind that up and go on a gentler lifestyle choice. And you know, Scorpio, I don't think you're going to miss them at all. You know, the planets in your sign oppose the planets in Taurus. Somebody's going on their way. A lunar eclipse. One woman goes, another woman comes. And your sign is so strong, you could just sort of sit there and watch it, Scorpio, and not do anything unless somebody wants to fight with you about the money. That would be an unfortunate choice on their part, because you don't need to argue with anybody about money. And also, you're sort of in the driver's seat right now. A person might be able to ask you for some money, but they can't demand it. They would not get it. So, Scorpio, I think you're doing okay. And I think there's a little bit more emphasis in your life on personal satisfaction as well. So if you are a Scorpio who is a wealthy woman and you want to be on your last chapter and sort of wind things down so that you can prepare for a gentler future, then that's fine. But as far as fighting about money right now, a lot of people would want to fight with you, Scorpio, or a lot of people would like to get their hands on your money. But I would say, you know, guard it well. And the answer is no. You can be charitable if you want to be. But you do not need to be somebody's punching bag right now. And besides, your sign is the strong sign, not the other two fixed signs. In fact, all three fixed signs are not, combined, they're not as strong as your sign, because yours is the only fixed sign with the ruler in it. So, And it's trined. It's backed up by another ruler, Neptune in Pisces. So you are sitting sort of pretty right now, but I think that you have to realize that there is going to be a sort of a parting of the ways, or somebody who is a wealthy woman that is choosing of her own idea to wind down a public role or a leadership position in favor of finding a quieter lifestyle. And you could wish them well, but you don't have to wish them anything else. And you certainly do not need to part with your money, because they have plenty of their own. And generally that doesn't stop people from wanting more, though. So you do need to guard your money a little bit more carefully. And watch what other people are doing. And if I were you, I wouldn't let people know how closely you were watching them, because you may have to act pretty fast if they do anything tricky. That's why I'd be a little quiet about what you're doing. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time with no planets in the fire signs again, when there isn't an impetus to go forward. And, you know, I think there's a multitude of reasons for that. One of them is we're headed toward winter. This full moon lunar eclipse is one of the winter eclipses. And the one 2 weeks after that is the solar eclipse in your sign, and that's the other winter eclipse. And so I think that, you know, there are, and we're coming into the holidays, there are other things we have to pay attention to right now, Sagittarius. And some people are thinking, okay, we're nearing the year's end, and some people who could be wealthy women are deciding to be on their last chapter of an old role and sort of wind that down. It could be for a number of reasons. It could be health reasons. It could be that they're just tired of the role. It could be that there is so much competition and rivalry and so much pressure that it's not sort of worth it to them anymore, or else it means they're not qualified for that role and they finally realize it. So a wealthy woman can step down. And I think that that's okay. I'm not necessarily thinking that that's going to affect you very much, Sagittarius. Taurus is in conjunct or 150 degrees away from your sun sign. So you may not be affected by the lunar eclipse as much as other people are. But you could know somebody who's doing this, being on the last chapter. It could be somebody in your workplace who's retiring. That would be perfectly natural. They're choosing to do that. If you were deciding to make any kind of a change, I would urge you to sort of think about it a little bit more. Now, you could be exactly right in what you want to do, but I'm saying think about it a little bit in terms of the timing of it. Just the timing. In other words, it could be a perfect choice for you. But there are 7 planets right now in fixed signs at war with each other. Not too many people are going to win a fight. In fact, nobody's going to win a fight right now. And yet there's still going to be greedy people out there that want to fight about money or want to get their hands on it. And so, Sagittarius, whatever you are thinking of doing, if I were you, I'd keep a little bit quiet about that and not say too much to anybody until after the middle of December. The eclipse, the solar eclipse, which always denotes a new beginning, is in your sign on December 4th. But some of those malefic planets are still around. So just sort of wait until the tension dies down a bit, even if it's only temporarily dying down. The financial tension dies down as we get closer to the holidays. Let's hope that happens, because people need to be thinking a little bit more about their families then and getting together with them. So that could buy you a little time, is what I'm saying, Sagittarius, to make a commitment of your own or a decision of your own and announce it in a way that is can be more favorably accepted by other people. You know, if they calm down and you announce something, they are going to like it a whole lot better than if they're all fighting with each other. Do you see what I mean? You know, get them at rest, and then tell them what you want to do. And whatever it is, it's going to be a winner, Sagittarius. You are going to make the right announcement or the right decision or do the right thing. It really will be good for you. An absolute winner. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when, you know, you certainly could know a wealthy woman who's on the last chapter of an old role that she doesn't want to play anymore. It could be for her health reasons. It could be because she's tired of it. It could be because she just isn't quite, she's constrained and she can't do everything she wants. And so she sort of abdicates the role so that she can do a few more things that she wants to do. And Capricorn, you could somehow benefit by knowing this person. Or they could lean on you a little bit or talk to you about it. And that would be okay. Because the full moon in Taurus, along with Uranus in Taurus, are all trining your sun, Capricorn, where you have Venus and Pluto. Quite nice for you. And so if nothing else, since Taurus does rule expensive things, because Taurus likes high quality, it can be that there could be a pretty nice Christmas present coming your way, Capricorn. Or maybe you're giving a nice Christmas present. Or it could be that you get some good news about the value of some real estate. Taurus rules high-priced real estate. And just remember, anything that's high-priced is going to be high-taxed as well. But still, you could get some good news about that. You can also say to yourself, you know, if I'm going to start something new, I want it to be really good. And you could probably afford that, Capricorn. You could probably afford what you want. And if you don't want it right now, but it's your fondest dream, keep saving your money, because you could still have that come true. Once again, because even if you had all the money to do what you want, market conditions are shaky right now. And you want to buy at a low price, not a high price. You may need to wait a little while before that happens. That's what I'm saying. Capricorns are real good about knowing the value of a dollar, and they can stretch it. So I think you've got some good news, and I know you're going to have a good Christmas, Capricorn. And I think you're just going to be happier with your life. And very thankful for your friends. You know, the people that we carry in our heart are pure gold. And money doesn't buy that. Love does. And you have some nice people in your heart, Capricorn. Be sure and let them know that you love them. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, you've got some great ideas for the future. Well, sure, because Saturn is in your sign, making you very practical. And it also could be that Saturn has made you realize you sure waited a long time for something good. And Jupiter's in your sign, which represents good things. And since you're both in the sign of the future, you could be thinking to yourself, now maybe I can cash in on something. Maybe, or maybe I can, you know, sort of step up. You know, get paid more money or get promoted or start something new. Maybe you could, except for one thing, Aquarius, the money. You know, you have good planets in your sign, but they are all being squared by 5 planets in the fixed signs, fixed financial signs, all opposing and squaring your sign. So Aquarius, I think you're really onto something pretty good in your own mind, but whether you have the money to pay for it is questionable. And it isn't due to anything you've done. It is due to market conditions in the world and how shaky financial matters are right now. So, you know, how can you lose money? Well, you could gamble it and lose. You could go to the grocery store a lot and lose because of high inflation. Or you could own something expensive and get it taxed twice as high as you're used to. And you see, that's all ways of losing money. And you know, you haven't done anything to lose the money except live within market conditions right now. So I don't think the rich are getting a lot richer right now. There's too much debt. And tensions are running high due to financial conflicts. And so, yes, you've got some great ideas, Aquarius. I'm not sure you've got the money to follow through with them. But if I were you, it might, you know, why don't you make some new friends, Aquarius? Maybe they would have the money. Or find some new sources of income. People that you could talk to about your ideas. They might be interested. You never know, particularly in January and February, after the first year, around your birthday. You could talk to somebody who might be interested in sort of helping you along with your new ideas. That would be great. But the first thing is that you have to get them all written down. You have to get some sort of proposal set up. You have to say, okay, this is my idea for this. And include a picture with it. A lot of people don't like to read a lot. But if you have a picture that somewhat explains what all your writing is about, they get it. And so that would be good. But you too, since the full moon in Taurus is squaring your sun, and the lunar eclipse is, you too could either know a wealthy woman who wants to give up an old role, or you could be the wealthy person that wants to change their lifestyle and have one that's just a little easier. You know, maybe it's just time. Maybe your reason is, for the last chapter, is your health. Maybe you just have to slow down a little bit. Whatever it is, I think your chances of achieving what you want are better after the first of the year. Because there's too much tension in the fixed signs, particularly the financial signs. And you know, you just walk into the crossfire and you're the one that's going to get hit. So don't do that. You'll have to wait. But waiting quietly can still earn other people's respect. And it also can buy you a little time to get your idea better organized. So I hope you give that a try. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when you are really in the driver's seat, Pisces. Now you could say, who, me? I didn't do anything. Well, it's not exactly like you have to do anything right now, Pisces, except just keep being your sweet self. And the reason why is that you have so much backup right now. The Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Scorpio are all trining your Sun. And Mars is the ruler there. And they're trining Neptune, the ruler of your sign. And together those 4 planets are trining the sign of Cancer. Your home life or your family life is due to improve. And I think everybody's going to be a little calmer this year. And also, there is the possibility that there is more money coming your way, Pisces. Now, it could be because you sell something valuable. Well, okay, then you'd have the money. It could be because there can be some sort of a refund or rebate coming your way, even an income tax refund coming next year. That would be good if it happens. And what it says, I think there is some more money coming your way or through someone else. This might be the season, since your sign rules charity, that you may want to make small gestures to others that sort of warms your heart and warms theirs, and reminds us all as we head toward the holidays that we're in this world together. We are the family of man and woman and children. We're all a family. And Pisces, you have a gentle way of seeing the beauty in anything if you want to. And that's what I would go for. Pisces rules photography, rules dance. You're artistic and you're creative, but you see the beauty. If there was a way you could share what you're seeing so that other people can see the beauty too, it would really make them feel better. And it would make you feel like you were doing what you're meant to do. You know, we live in love, and we each do it in our own way. So if you get a little extra money, Pisces, I don't mean share the money. I mean share your vision with others and make something beautiful. They will treasure it. They really will. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show on our website, starborninstitute.org, or you can subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and I'd be happy to send it to you every week. Thanks a lot. Bye.